Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle, is brand new every Saturday at high noon on CW30.
Don't miss one full hour of the best pro wrestling action. Follow us at CW30 Wrestling.
We'll see you on Saturday.
Ooh. This episode is brought to you by Spunk Lube. Spunk Lube is the perfect blend of water and silicone. It is an all-purpose personal lubricant that can be used for any occasion. You will love the natural feeling and look of it. It is safe for sensitive skin. Go to spunklube.com and tell them Shootin The Shiznit sent you.
Oh, you didn't know? Well, your ass better, you better tell someone. Tell someone about STSPOD.club. Tell them now. Call them. Text them. Tell them. Telegram. Send them video messages. Whatever. Tell them. From STS Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and I have waiting in the green room Kevin White. Kevin White, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good, Kevin. It's been a long time since we talked. Every once in a while, we actually say something to each other on Facebook, but I hadn't heard your voice, haven't seen you, and I don't know when. But I want to talk about you. I want to talk about your wrestling career, how you become a fan, and all that. But we did talk about you a little bit with Richard Mulligan. I put you over big time, Kevin, so you can PayPal me anytime you want. So,
all right, it's in the mail.
There you go. From Henderson, Tennessee, it is Kevin White. And Kevin, how did you start when you was growing up? Was you a fan the whole time?
Oh yeah, we was. It was. All we got really was Memphis Wrestling every Saturday morning, and my grandmother, we call her our Memaw, she passed away about a year and a half ago. Right after Brian passed away, she passed away. And, it was on her house every Saturday morning, and everybody was over there every Saturday morning. And my uncles and my dads would take me on Monday night. And my dad, he didn't miss a Monday night probably for 20, 25 years straight. Matter of fact, the night I was born was on a Monday night, and he was at the wrestling and not the hospital.
I did not know that about your dad. Yeah. I knew he was a huge fan, but I didn't know he went that often. The Monday Night Wrestling at the time, I hate to tell you this, Kevin, but it might have been more important to him. No, I hate to tell you that. But.
Yeah, they had the same seats and sat in the same seats every Monday night for many, many years.
And so you grew up idolizing. Who was you a big fan of growing up?
I was probably Stan Lane, Steve Kern, Terry Taylor, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, of course. But, Rock and Roll Express, just guys like that's the ones that I idolize the most.
Yeah, and I tell this story, and you relate to it big time, is that when we were growing up, that those guys were like superheroes to us, and everybody, not just a few people, like now you'll run into someone that's a wrestling fan when you have a wrestling t-shirt on, but everybody watched wrestling. All your friends watched wrestling. They wanted to fight each other on the playground and beat Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee.
Of course, and it was, I guess back then we only had about 4 or 5 channels on our television, and wrestling came on, the main one every Saturday morning, and right after you watching cartoons, wrestling came on.
That was us. I had a Channel 8 out of Jonesboro, and I had Channel 5 out of Memphis. I had to go. I don't know if y'all had to turn your antenna. I had to manually turn my antenna. My dad said I could turn it if I wanted to change the channels instead of doing a motorized antenna. So I would go out and change it. Then I ended up going to a friend's house to watch Memphis Wrestling every Saturday morning. So growing up, actually going to wrestling a lot, when do you think you got kind of smartened up to everything? You said, "Oh, it's not on the up and up, but I don't know what's going on," or did you at any time care?
I probably didn't. It was probably when I became a teenager that I, started trying to figure it out. We made our own videos. I had tons of videos where, me and my friends, we had set up the camera and make us a homemade ring and do interviews and have matches. Matter of fact, my prom night after we ditched our dates, we went to the hotel room and that's what we did. Cut wrestling interviews and made videos of wrestling all night long.
That's crazy. You're younger than me, but did you start seeing like the internet exploding and everybody knowing what's going on? Were you part of that, or was you still not really knowing exactly what was going on until you got in the business?
I'd probably say I knew it was a work to some extent, but I really had no idea just how much of a work it was, because, those guys that was working, like the Dundees, the Lawlers, the Fabulous Ones, and Rock and Roll Express, you went to the matches fully believing, oh, I know it's fixed and they know who's going to win. But they would make you believe for that time they were in the ring, oh, no, they really got mad at each other and they really were fighting. And I believe that's what drew, whatever angle was hot, they would always look like they got into an actual fight.
I love
and that made you come back. You know what I mean? That's what made you, because all the other matches wasn't the same. They didn't, do the exact same thing. It was kind of high, low, high, low, high, low. Where this was just two people fighting.
And that was the style. Memphis is a little different style than there's a couple Memphis styles. One is that, like you said, the Moondogs against the Fabs, and at no time did you say, "Oh, it's a work." Oh, the Fabs against the Moondogs, there's no way that's a work. Right. Because they're hitting each other. I mean, they're really mad at each other. And I remember saying that a couple of times, thinking that someone hit someone a little harder than they should. But it is one of those things where that gets, your disbelief, or you're believing that you know everything, and then you don't know nothing, really. I love that. I felt that way, too, as a kid. It's like I was at front row my first wrestling, so I thought, oh, man, this is not on the up and up. I really don't care. But then it got, and the other style of Memphis wrestling is kind of like walking, talking, slow, let's do 3 moves, let's go back. It's totally different. There's 2 ways of Memphis wrestling, and a lot of people don't ever see that second side. Were you an athlete? Because, natural in the ring, you bump really well. I've always been complimentary to you as seen, and we'll talk about this, but I may have seen your first match. I'm not sure, but I may have. Were you an athlete before you decided to get into wrestling?
Yeah, I played football. I was all district, all conference in high school, and played baseball as well, and actually had a offer to play baseball at a small college.
And that's part of it. You was an athlete, you was in shape, and you was ready to learn, right?
Of course.
So tell me about hooking up. Go ahead.
Even when I first started training, I still wasn't 100% smart. I knew you worked together. I didn't know to what extent.
I love that. There's a story, the famous Tiger Mask. He didn't know wrestling was a work until his first match, and they told him he was losing, and he cried. So tell me about, now, everybody in the Memphis area, Jonesboro area, they know who your trainer was. Now, if you're listening, we got people all over the United States listening. And so you get in touch with Bill Dundee. How did all that happen? How did you get in touch with Bill and decide you wanted, and I can understand, I'd want Bill to train me too, because he was, a superstar in the area, so.
Yeah, and I think he and my dad were already made friends with one another, and had met, and kind of been talking. And then Bill had seen that, I guess I had a little athletic ability, so we started training.
You just was it a nightmare? People have nightmares about their first couple of days, or was it just I'm so excited I'm in the ring?
Yeah, I was so excited I was in the ring. Now I was getting the living dog shit kicked out of me every night.
By who? By who? Was it Bill? Was Miles there at the time, or was it just Bill?
No, those guys were probably 8 or 10 years later down the line.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, this was, I guess, about 98, 99, 9-ish when he started training. And it was just me and him, just me and Bill.
Oh, wow.
At the very, very end, Trey Keller, rest his soul, he started coming in and training with us. So I was having to really, after Bill kind of got tired of, stretching, beating on me, and needing somebody to kind of, get in there and really go with me after he kind of showed me most of the stuff you need to know. Then Trey came in, and that's who I had to work out with, that big brute. And it wasn't any lighter.
No, but Trey's so smart in putting together a match. Is that who you learned a lot of that from? When to come in and out of heat, when to fire back. I remember him telling my guys, we were baby faces at the time, him healing and him just telling them in the ring constantly, come back. I'm cutting you off. Come back.
Yeah, I think that was more, Carly, because Bill had taught him that.
Right.
So
right.
I guess, Bill that's who I rode to every match with. So I got a lesson after my match on the way home. Oh, I was getting coached on the way to the show. I was getting coached. I really say the first 3 or 4 years of me wrestling consistently, I was getting coached by Bill after every single match.
Man, I know it probably got tiring by the end, but to think that he's going to tell you what you did wrong and be honest with you about it, that had to be a great experience, sir.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for that, who knows? You could have fizzled off real quick. And because, he did teach me a lot of things as time went on, things I would have never even knew anything about, things that I bet half the boys today have no clue that's a thing that's taught. You know what I mean? That's just
the psychology that Bill Dundee used, and the thing I tell you about fighting back, that was what made him the babyface. That's what made Ricky Morton the top babyface. That Ricky Steamboat's fantastic at that too. It's okay to get beat up as a babyface, but you can't die. And a lot of people just die, or they're just doing another move, 10,000 moves behind it. I'm going to ask, your dad was, before I knew you, I knew your dad, he would sit in Gibson, Tennessee, and he would watch my tag teams, and he would always come up to me and be just as honest as possible, but always gave us encouragement and said, hey, I like this. And I didn't know he was such a huge fan, but I also thought, man, he was smart. I knew he was smart to the business and intelligent, and I always liked talking to him. And then, I got my boy in the business, and you showed up in Gibson, Tennessee, but was that your first match?
No.
Oh, okay.
My first match was actually before Bill had started training me.
Oh.
Yeah. So me and a friend of mine, which that was his one and only match, but we had went down to Corinth, Mississippi, and told Rodney Grimes, which I can't stand this guy now today, but then I didn't know who he was. I just went in and told him I was a wrestler and we wanted to wrestle. And we wasn't wrestlers, and we really didn't know how to wrestle. But we had been practicing on our own, so he lets us wrestle. After the match, I'm grabbing headlocks on the wrong side. I'm doing I'm doing all kinds of stuff like that. But at the end of the match, this guy comes and says, "We want you to be the main event next week." So I knew then, I said, man, this is probably not the right place to be.
Yeah, I've always had let me say, a love for wrestling in Mississippi. Let me just tell you, a love. I worked in Mississippi, left, and went back in 15 years, and they still didn't know what the hell they were doing. So there you go. Hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we're going to come back, we're going to talk to Kevin about Memphis Wrestling. Hey, if you're stuck in the house and still want to order food, go with Uber Eats. That's right. Download Uber Eats on your favorite device. Get $7 off your first order by using this code EATS-BRIANT24790UE. That's EATS-BRIANT24790UE.
Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle, is brand new every Saturday at high noon on CW30.
Don't miss one full hour of the best pro wrestling action. Follow us at CW30 Wrestling.
We'll see you on Saturday.
Ooh. This episode is brought to you by Spunk Lube. Spunk Lube is the perfect blend of water and silicone. It is an all-purpose personal lubricant that can be used for any occasion. You will love the natural feeling and look of it. It is safe for sensitive skin. Go to spunklube.com and tell them Shootin The Shiznit sent you.
Oh, you didn't know? Well, your ass better, you better tell someone. Tell someone about STSPOD.club. Tell them now. Call them. Text them. Tell them. Telegram. Send them video messages. Whatever. Tell them. All right, I want to talk about Memphis Wrestling. This was Corey's, and I'm gonna pat you on the back here for a few minutes. So this was Corey Macklin's version of Memphis Wrestling, and I don't know if you know this. I know you probably remember reading it, but do you know that you and Dundee, in the time that I did my wrestling website, which was 5 years, I studied the ratings. I was big on who got the biggest ratings. Push this guy; he's got the biggest ratings. You over and over and over scored, usually in the best quarter. It was you, or if there was a segment with Brian Christopher, even an old segment with Brian Christopher, it always scored better. You and Bill's angle was seen by over 100,000 people. I don't know if you remember that or even know that.
Yeah, I didn't have no idea.
Here's something even better about that, okay? So at the time, I did some research from the stuff that on my old website today, but at the time, that channel only had the potential, or only got the potential during that hour of 400,000 viewers. Of that 400,000, 1 out of 4 for 2 weeks in a row. I think y'all got 80-something thousand one week and 100 another. Was watching your angle.
Yeah, I had no clue of that.
So,
probably good that I didn't.
Do what now?
Probably good that I didn't know that.
There you go. When you were, featured all the time during the years of the website, you were voted mainly TV match because you was actually on Memphis Wrestling during the whole time. You was voted for, you was nominated for Wrestler of the Year in 2008. You ranked 10th in 2007 in the area, 3rd in 2008, and 2009, 10. Now, with all that said, what I want to know, Kevin, what did you think of the website? Because, there's a lot of people that did not like me or like my website.
Oh, I always liked you. I'm the type of guy, the people that I don't like, they know I don't like them.
Yeah, I got a question to ask you about somebody you don't like here in a minute because I seen some on Facebook. But let's talk about Memphis Wrestling. Why? I know that this was a goal of yours, but how important was it for you to be featured every week on Memphis Wrestling?
Oh, it was main goal. That was that was my whole goal and purpose of starting this was to, I had goals set. The first goal was the main event, the Mid-South Coliseum. That was my main goal, I never was a fan of WWE. I didn't watch that much. I grew up on Memphis Wrestling, some NWA wrestling. So, I wasn't into the smoke and mirrors. I was into the thinking it was halfway a shoot and still wanted to do it type of person. I was, I always never minded putting my hands on, being physical, being a little stiff, being a little, I'm never going to complain about someone being stiff with me at all because that's just how I thought it was supposed to be,
Right. Especially as indie as we were, as outlaws, the shows that I was on, we were stiff as hell most of the time anyway. Even sometimes when I punched one of my guys on mistake. You was given a gimmick, and I wrote this on Wrestle Right on the website when it happened. You were given this gimmick, and you can tell me the story of how this happened. You were the new Nature Boy. Now, I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at you come out as the new Nature Boy, and I'm thinking, this is not going to work. And I don't care what anyone says. You ran with it, buddy. You lived it. You made everyone believe that you were the new Nature Boy, and your interviews were top notch and everything. And you still got criticism. People say, how Kevin White? He's not the Nature Boy. How did that happen? And was that what you were doing? Just trying to do your best at it?
Well, if I can remember correctly, it was about the time when I believe Jerry Lawler was going to wrestle with Hulk Hogan, and at the Mid-South Coliseum, and then Vince McMahon pulled all that and stopped it. Where the plan was, I was going to be the new Nature Boy, and not try to be like Ric Flair, be like a cheaper version of Ric Flair type of deal. That was the ideal, and they were planning to try to get Ric Flair into that show for, me to work with him maybe. But that all went south quick.
Yeah, it did.
But
it did.
They kept going with the gimmick because they just was something to keep going. And they, Lawler liked it and he liked working with me. And so I just ran with it. And it was a lot of fun to me because, I wasn't, with Dundee being old school, they wasn't going to let me turn heel at least for 5 or 6 years. So I wrestled 5, 6, 7, 8 years as a babyface, maybe longer. I can't remember. And then he wasn't going to let me turn heel unless there was a reason to turn heel and it made sense and it was with him. And, everything that I'd done on there was either Jerry Lawler or Bill Dundee tried to make it all be a reason behind it, not just doing it because,
Right. You didn't just say, I'm going to be the new Nature Boy. Here's the reason why we're doing it. Right. And you had a story. I never knew the thing about Ric Flair. I looked up that card today right before I came on, and I wondered because I knew Lawler wasn't on it, but there was some guys like Too Cool 2 and a couple of other guys. Did you just decide, did they just ask you not to do the show then? Because you weren't going to, or were you just standing by because Lawler couldn't do it?
Yeah, the main reason that we didn't do it is because Lawler wasn't going to be there. So it changed. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen. I had. It's crazy the actual. I said downloads because that's all I worry about now. But the hits that day that Hogan made the announcement and all that. It's one of my biggest days. And if I remember correctly, it's up in about almost 500,000 fans. We're going to the website looking about all that. So I was a fan of the gimmick. Not at first. I didn't think you could do it. But at the end and by the end, were you working as a heel? I thought you did a fantastic job. You even went on, even in the Jerry Lawler's Memphis Wrestling version of Memphis Wrestling. You and Lawler were on TV in front of close to 25,000. So you were. I know you don't know this, but you can pat yourself on the back now and say, I'm a ratings getter. You was always a ratings getter. It's crazy. What was the biggest show? We just got this. Just came to my mind. We just talked about the big show. I think it drew 200. Not 200. About 2,000 people to. What was your biggest show that you considered on that you were on?
Wow. I never really looked at it that way. I always considered every show to be a big show because I was going to give everything I had, no matter if it was in a high school or the Mid-South Coliseum or wherever we were working. But I would say there was a WWE show when I hadn't been working long, probably 3 or 4 years, 5 maybe, at the Louisville. It was I think it was in Louisville at the University of Louisville or the college there.
Right.
And I think so. My first time I walk into catering to sit down and eat, and me and Dundee walk in, and then Triple H is on one side and Kurt Angle's on the other side, and everybody's around, and I went to pick up my silverware that was wrapped up in this napkin, wrapped 18 ways to hell and back, and I'm trying to get my silverware out, and silverware just flies everywhere, and so I look like the big nervous green guy sitting at the table with all these veterans. It was a nice show. There's people like Edge and Christian that had just signed with WWE. As a matter of fact, they signed that night in the back.
Oh wow! And you worked? Who did you work on that show?
On that show, I worked. His name Bradley. He used to wrestle in Memphis.
Steve Bradley.
Steve Bradley. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was easy, wasn't it? God.
Oh, yeah, I liked him. Always liked him. He was a nice guy.
Right. All right. Okay, tell me something. I see a bunch of pictures on Facebook. When is the last time you wrestled first? Tell me that. How long's it been?
Man, it's been a while. Probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Wow, yeah. And, some of my favorite matches I ever had was it in Henderson where your dad ran those shows was it Carl Perkins? Am I right? That sounds right.
Yeah, that's it.
I did 2 of those shows and probably my favorite shows ever. Just the crowd was so hot. You could do a drop kick and they would pop for it. And that was just, not that I was doing a drop kick, but my boys were. So what life after wrestling? I see you with these fish, and you're getting all these sponsors, and tell me about that, Kevin, because, people are successful. I consider you successful, and your dad would too at what you do, and for a shoot job. You got to think that, and you consider yourself successful in the wrestling business. You did things that other people have never been able to do, and looks like you're successful again in bass fishing or something. Tell me about that.
Well, I actually, I was a bass fishing before I started wrestling.
Oh,
me and my dad we would go fishing every weekend. We didn't miss a weekend, up through junior high school, college. We went fishing. I had to put that aside once I started wrestling because we were wrestling all the time. You were never home to fish. So once I retired, I decided I was going to get back in it and give it a shot. And, it's a little harder than wrestling to succeed. It's tough. You just got so many fishermen and so many to compete against. And, you go to different lakes you may not have been to. And then there's half the field has been there and done well there. But it's like anything else. If you put the time and the energy into it, that's what you'll get back out of it.
Right. I agree. I just, people can be successful, and you just said, your football career, it was in high school, you were good. It all, combined does. I looked at it and said, "Man, Kevin's got it all." You know, hey, dude, you could you gonna start a rock band next, and then we're gonna.
Yeah. I'll fall flat on my face if I tried to do that. But that is the one thing that I wish I could do, because everyone in my family is musical and can sing and play guitars, but I cannot.
There you go. There you go. No rock band for Kevin White. Then.
All
right, I'm going to say some names. Some of them are stars now that you've been around or helped get in the business. Some of them, I'm just going to say a few names. You tell me what comes to mind when I say their name.
Okay.
All right. Sue Young. Impact Wrestling. She's been on there for a couple years now. I can say she's pretty successful, but she was trained by you, right?
Of course. She is, I'd say she's, be honest with you, I mean, I'm proud of her. She's dedicated. I mean, if anybody that's dedicated and can stick it out and know what they want, I mean, that's success in a nutshell with it, and not necessarily how much money you make or anything like that, but very few people in life set a goal and reach that goal, because a lot of people never even set a goal. They just go with the motion every day. So, I mean, I always was impressed with, and she came a long way, because when she first got here, I mean, it took a week or two just to get her to take a bump.
And you had that story. I read, me and you had done I typed the interview down. It was before I even started doing the podcast for the website. She packed all her stuff up and left home and moved here, right? To be a wrestler. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can't remember from where, but it's pretty far off, you know.
Right, I can't remember I should have read that. But yeah, I remember that. I'm going to ask you about this guy, and I know y'all were in Brian Christopher. I want to talk about him, but I want you to tell me why did you and Brian Christopher, why did y'all bond so? But Brian was and I've talked to your dad about this, and nothing bad. I'm not going to say a bad word about it, but man, I was scared to death around him backstage because I didn't know what was going to happen sometimes, and I seen some crazy things happen. But how did y'all bond? Kevin, your personality of the Brian Christopher I know and your personality is two different things.
You're probably right there. I guess just because at first there was only a few of us that were, really being molded and really being, were Lawler or Bill or whoever was really taking the time to really plan strategically what they were going to do with me or Brian or maybe Dale.
Right.
And Jerry, there's just those few that they were really concentrating on. So since I was in that group, that kind of put us together. And then, you got to remember back when we first became friends, Brian was married, David was pregnant at the time and Blake wasn't born yet. And he was a lot different then, he wasn't a partier. He didn't let nobody partying around him, whatsoever at that time and frame. But when, and that maybe started when he got off up in WWE around the wrong folks or whatnot. But I guess I can say, just without being specific, once we did become friends and we're riding to every town together and being together all day, we experienced some situations and got in some situations that not many human beings on earth will ever be in. And when you get put in some of those situations, you see who's going to be standing shoulder to shoulder with you or who's going to turn their back and run. And he never did that to me, and I never did that to him. And that is just a bond that's created when you knew it was just the one person on life that you knew if you called them, it could be 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You didn't have to give no excuse. Just, I need you to come get me. And that's what we did. No questions asked. And you don't find someone like that very often in life.
And it was like if I saw him on your Facebook, it was like a total different person when he was around you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that was a daily conversation, you know. I mean, it was every day I would say to him, Brian, well, when we're in the back locker room, why don't you just be the person you are at my house? Because when you walk into my house, Grandmaster Sexy's not here. It's Brian Christopher. And that was the guy that I wanted everybody else to meet and know. But, I mean, not everybody got to meet that guy or know that guy. But that's the one I wanted them to meet and know. That's the one I'll remember. You know, don't get me wrong. He was one of the most talented individuals I've ever been around in my life. But my memories will have nothing to do with wrestling, you know, that stand out in my mind.
Right. I understand that. I really do. I've had friends where they act totally different. You know, both when you're just around them, they're a totally different person. And your dad I reached out to your dad one time and talked to him a little bit about this, and he actually said that to me too. He's not who it's not who you see backstage, Coach. So that's what he told me a lot of times about him. All right, great stuff about Brian Christopher. It's exactly what I wanted to hear, because it did. Those pictures on Facebook, it just was a total different person, and I'm glad to hear that. Richard Mulligan.
Let me say this one other thing real quick. You know, and he was one of the last guys that had wrestled in the actual territories.
Yep.
You know, and wrestled with all the old timers. So he experienced how those old timers ran the back. And he thought,
yeah.
I mean, that's what he thought he was supposed to do. That's how he thought it was supposed to happen back there. But everybody back there was so shocked by it because they had never experienced that in their life.
Yeah, you know, with you saying that, I remember the first time I went backstage, and even to this day, Bill gives me hell about being backstage. Until he gets ready to leave, and then he shakes my hand and says, well, I'll see you next time. You know, because in his mind, I don't belong back there. Even though I have worked in the business, I don't belong because I wasn't trained by one, you know, kind of one of the legends or everything. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense why Brian's attitude or something would be toward me and other people, because they weren't part of that. And Brian and Jeff Jarrett are the last two, I've talked about this before, that were really pushed as and was able in the old school territory way that was left. And Brian was just so popular. Like I said, ratings also with Brian was real popular. All right, a couple more names. Richard Mulligan, we talked. What'd you think about Richard and helping train Richard? He wasn't that good, was he?
Well, I mean, he's the biggest. He's got the biggest body. He got all the tools, but his biggest pro is he's a nice guy, and his biggest con is he's a nice guy. Sometimes he needs to be not so nice, and he just wasn't capable of that. He just don't have a bad bone in his body.
You picked him apart right there. You're right, Richard. I've only seen him mad a couple of times, and I don't even know if he was really mad or not. So there you go.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I wish every day I could be that way. I wish I could.
Oh, yeah, I get pissed off on an hourly basis at work. So there you go, Kevin.
Yeah.
All right, how about you talked about Dale? How about Spellbinder? What's Spellbinder mean to you? Well, to your career and everything.
I mean, he's right there, you know, with Brian. It's Brian and him both call my dad, and you know, and he had just a good, strong bond with Brian and Dale as I do, and Dale's another one of those guys that we don't have to talk about it because it's just known. If I don't see him for 2 weeks, we know we still like brothers. We still love one another, you know. And I've never been one to just use those words, you know. I mean, that's not, you know, I was always not, we didn't say those words very often. We just showed it. We didn't say them, we showed it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can
but,
see it. That's the thing about the pictures of you and Brian, and I don't want to get emotional here, but the pictures of you and Brian, there's so much love between you two guys, and it's like brothers. It really was, and if I could see it, I could just see it. And I have guys in my life that are the same way. I've got a wedding picture that's my groomsman the last time I got married, and there's so much love in those photographs because that's all it was. They're my brothers, you know. All right, I'm going to ask you one more person, and we'll get off of here because I've seen some Facebook stuff that made me laugh, and I like to sit back and watch sometimes. But you don't like Eric Wayne, do you?
Not anymore. But I'm going to tell you this. I did kind of. I knew he did stupid stuff and, moronic stuff, but since his granddad and dad had wrestled, he always just kind of got that pass, that slide, and let him by with it. And I'll say this, you know what I mean? And then there was a time he was about, I don't know, he couldn't have been 14 or 15 years old. And we was in Mississippi and his dad was booking a show. When I'm down there, and then I don't know what he did in the ring. He was only 14 or 15. They couldn't expect him to be perfect.
Right.
Like, he got him in the back, and his dad just dog cusses him in front of the boys, talks to him the way no parent should ever talk to a kid ever in life. All the boys laughing, and I'm the only one that pulled Ken Wayne in the back and told him how I felt about it and stood up for the kid. Move forward about 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, we're in Memphis Wrestling. He's wrestling now. We're in a battle royal, and I look over, and Wolfie D's got his thumb about 2 or 3 inches in Eric Wayne's eyeball, and he's trying to take his eyeball out.
Damn.
And he's succeeding. And when he got that eyeball out, he was definitely fixing to take the other eyeball out because Eric Wayne did something stupid in the ring to him, and he's old school, so he was doing what he was taught to do when someone does something stupid like that. I come in, pulled him out of the way, resolved the situation, got him out of the way from it, saved the day for him, because I promise you, Wolfie D could have done whatever he wanted to do to him, and there's not one thing he could have done to stop it. Just the truth.
Right.
Then, for this jack-off to get on there and say what he said on Facebook, I mean, I started hitting the call button on Facebook because I don't have his number. I don't know him that way or nothing. And he wouldn't answer. I literally wanted to go beat the living shit out of this kid, say something like that. So then that's why I just went ahead and said, I wanted to call him and say what I said on there directly to his face, but he wouldn't answer the phone. So that's why I said, well, your dad's a child molester or a predator and on CNN and gone to prison. But that doesn't mean every single wrestler out there is that way.
Right. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And
I just bashing cops. I don't know why he was doing that, but he was bashing the cops like every cop's wrong because a few did something bad. There's going to be bad people in anything in life.
I agree, and we've experienced it. I've experienced the bad cop being an asshole to me for no reason, but I've also had cops save my ass. So there's a difference there. But I seen that, and I was like, because I hadn't been around you personally a lot, so I haven't seen Kevin get mad. But man, you was pissed. I was like, well, I wouldn't want to be at the end of that. And I thought maybe we had a long history that I didn't know anything about. And I just had to throw out his name. But it sounds like he's trying to be a nice guy up to that point. Hey, Kevin, number one, I want to thank you. Do you have any social media where you would want wrestling fans to follow you? Or you just got your Facebook as your real friends now, as your shoot friends?
Oh, no, my Facebook's open. It's mainly a bunch of wrestling fans still there, So I've never changed anything since then. I still answer people's messages that ask me about what I'm doing or if I'm going to wrestle again. I'll still answer their messages. So.
And that's just Kevin White, and they probably search Henderson, Tennessee, right?
That's right.
There we go, Henderson, Tennessee. Hey, guys, same bad time. Thank you, Kevin. I do appreciate it. Same bad time, same bad channel on the best little wrestling podcast in Shootin the Business. Be there. And Kevin, I want you to know this because everybody that listens knows this. I love my mama.
Good deal. I love my mama too.
Did you enjoy that episode? Cash App us, that's right. $BTSTS. Cash App us $1, $2. If you Cash App us over $12, I'll give you 1 year of Patreon for free.
Graphic design is very important. Your logo is the first image potential customers see. What kind of impression would you want to make today? Need a podcast logo or a t-shirt design? KT does art. Her name has become synonymous with quality and professionalism in the graphic design community. She specializes in graphic design, painting, and more. She provides affordable commissions and professional quality with a timely delivery. Contact KT via email at kt_doesart@yahoo.com. Check out her Instagram at instagram.com/kt_doesart.
That was another great episode of Shootin the Shiznit. Looking for contestants for Who Wants to Be the Best Shiznitter Ever? That's right, contact me and be a contestant on Who Wants to Be the Best Shiznitter Ever. A big shout out to our sponsors this month. Also, remember, we have a Patreon for only $1. That's patreon.com, Shootin the Shiznit without the G. A special thanks to Bob McGee at Pro Wrestling's Between the Sheets, Gene Jackson at locals2legends.com, and Sean Garmer at Wrestling to Max website. You can reach me on Comic Book Mark BT on Twitter, at BT Shootin the Shiznit on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook with a Shootin the Shiznit Facebook page. We have the Cool Kids Wrestling and MMA Talk Facebook group. If we don't like you, we'll kick you out, but you also have to ask to get in. All the archives are at www.stspod.club. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Podcast Addict, Spreaker, Spotify, and all the fun podcast players. Podcast Roll Call. A big shout out to Creative Control. Keeping it 100. Memphis Memories with Randy Hales, and my buddies over there at P3 Radio, Max and Josh. Who's Right podcast with Doug and Anthony, a great non-wrestling podcast. Another one would be Man Brain with my buddy Dave over there, Man Brain podcast. Check them out. Lance's favorite, Suplex City Limits with Jim and the Fudge. Guys, I am Brian Tramel. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.